All right, I'm going to make a quick video. Hopefully this makes the new format a little less confusing and everybody will understand it. So 36 races in a year, breaking them down into 9 different tournaments. Each tournament's going to consist of 4 races. So just like in this sheet right here, this would be the tournament 1, would have Daytona, Atlanta, COTA, and Phoenix. So over here on the left, the seeds will be done randomly. We'll use the spinning wheel to do that. So we'll only really have to do that once every 4 weeks because the seeds won't change. So the seeds will be done randomly. All 16 people get a random seed. The reason we need 16 is so there's a perfect tournament bracket like you see over here with no buys, no bye weeks. I know that's going to become a joke. So here's how this would play out. I kind of did a simulation of the first 4 weeks. These were the random seeds. Then you have the seeds over here in the bracket on the right side of the screen, and then people's names plugged in where they would fall. So when I say a head-to-head matchup, for example, during Daytona would be round 1 of this tournament, which is this, right? So Chris and whoever person 15 winds up being would be matched up. Person 14 and 11 are matched up. Nathaniel and Tyler, Matt and person 13, me and Russ, Don and Justin, person 16 and person 12, and Stacy and Nate. Now how your drivers are assigned, I used ChatGPT. So I just did AI and told them to assign 2 random numbers to each person between 1 and 40 because Daytona had 40 drivers. So it assigned a random number. Obviously, since there's only 32 of us, there's 8 drivers that aren't assigned to people in here, which we'll get to later. So out of the random numbers, I was given number 19 and 5. So based on qualifying, these were the drivers I would have gotten: Chris Buescher and Chase Elliott. And this is based off of last year's Daytona, the qualifying format, but this is just to show you how it would play out this year. So I had Chris Buescher and Chase Elliott. Chris had Martin Truex, Todd Gilliland, and so on and so forth. And then now over here, what I did, so for Daytona, based on the results, this is where everybody finished. All the drivers finished during that race. Basically, you take your 2 drivers, you average their finishing position, and that's how it determines who wins each head-to-head matchup. So Chris had an average finish of 25 because he had Truex and Gilliland. Gilliland finished 35th. Truex finished 15th. That's where you get your 25. Person 15 had Nemechek and Gralla. Based on their finishing, their average finish between the 2 of them was 22.5. So out of this first round, first matchup, Chris would be eliminated. Person 15 moves on. And then the first round, these are the payouts. So based on how it played out in Daytona, these are the people that would move on and the amount of money they would win. I have 2 different scenarios. I kind of like my second scenario better, where the first round, the payout would be $10 for the first round. So everybody that wins in these head-to-head matchups gets $10. So you basically get your entry fee back for that week plus $5 more. Now, just because you're eliminated from the tournament, like Chris, Gabe, Nathaniel, person 13, so on and so forth, these people will not be moving on in the tournament. However, you're still in contention for the race winner. So if you happen to have as one of your drivers the winner of the race, so like William Byron, person 12 had that, so they'd get $25 for the race winner plus whatever they won if they were still in the tournament. Now, so that would be the first week of the tournament. That's Daytona. We wouldn't have to do, so we move on to the next week. That's Atlanta. So now we're in the second round of the tournament. These are the people competing in the second round. It would be person 15 versus person 14, Tyler versus Matt, Brett versus Justin, person 12 versus Stacy. Ignore this. I mean, I've got some random numbers thrown on here just to make sure the money works out. But so second round is based off of Atlanta, and again, I would use ChatGPT, and we could still do the ChatGPT assigning of drivers on the messenger, just to keep transparency, and like that's the fun part. We get to see each other every week on video. So you reassign the drivers. You wouldn't have to redo the seedings. That's only the first round of the tournament. So reassign drivers, so you don't get to keep the same driver week to week. Those drivers get randomly reassigned. Atlanta had 37 drivers. So again, I would just say to ChatGPT, randomly assign 2 numbers between 1 and 37 for these 16 people. We get our random numbers assigned. So like last week I had Busher and Elliott. Second week I would have Truex and Gilliland, which is interesting because they had the same 2 drivers there. I think that's just random how that played out, but yeah, because true. Okay, so that's just a coincidence. So the second week, here's the people that would be facing each other. So for example, in our first head-to-head matchup, we have person 15 versus person 14, which will be these 2 here. So Elliott and Chastain, their average finish was 11th, because we had Chastain finishing 7th and Elliott finishing 15th. And then person 15, their drivers, Logano and Briscoe, didn't fare so well. There's Logano. There's Briscoe down there. So person 15, their 2 drivers averaged a finishing of 29.5. So they get eliminated. Person 14 moves on. If you win your head-to-head matchup in the second round, it's a $15 payout. Plus, if you have the race winner, you get an additional $25. That's how that plays out. So then we'd go to the third round, would be Coda, reassign the drivers. You know, you get 2 random numbers. Those drivers are based on, again, these Q numbers that we would randomly assign are based on qualifying. So whatever 2 numbers you get, check the qualifying. That's how you determine what drivers you get. So the third round, if this played out like this, these would be the people competing against each other. You'd have person 14 versus Tyler and Justin versus Stacy. Again, based off their drivers, person 14 had an average finish of 28.5. Tyler had 28. He would move on. Same with Justin and Stacy. Stacy fared pretty well with an average finish of 8 with his 2 drivers versus Justin 17.5. So if you win the third round of the tournament, that's a $20 payout plus an additional $25 if you happen to have the race winner. And then we would get to the final week, and we have Phoenix. 2 people that are still left in the tournament, Tyler and Stacy. You compare their drivers. Tyler with an average finish of 23.5 with Zane Smith and William Byron. Stacy had Gilliland and Elliott. They finished better at Phoenix for this last round. So Stacy would win $40 that round. So all in all, Stacy won $40 for the 4th round, $20 for the 3rd round, $15 for the 2nd round, and $10 for the 1st round. So that's $60 plus another $25. So all in all, he wins $85 for his head-to-head matchups, and if he happens to have any of those race winners, which he did not. So I have this auto-calculating who the race winners were. So potentially you could win over $100 in 4 weeks just based on your head-to-head matchups and if you have any race winners. So that's how that would play out. That would be one tournament. So that's the first 4 weeks of the season. The buy-in would be $20 per tournament. With the payouts the way they are, if everybody was just paying $5 per race, I wouldn't have enough in the account to do the payouts per week. So I would ask that everybody paid $20 every 4 weeks, which I think is still manageable. It still makes the entire season $180. It's still $5 a race. So that doesn't change. The only thing that's changing is how much you're required to pay and the different scenarios that you could win. So instead of relying on 4 drivers to win a race, I think this makes this more fun because you're competing against individual people. Unless you get knocked out in the first round, then you're kind of just relying on the race winner for the final 3 weeks. But after every 4 weeks, it resets. We start another tournament. So I think it's pretty exciting. This just kind of shows the path, like who wins what. Again, I've got 2 different scenarios here. I personally like scenario 2 better, with $10 for the first round if you win. If you win the second round, it's $15. If you win the third, it's $20. And if you win the fourth, it's $40. Whereas this one, if you win the first round, it's $5, and everything just doubles. Second round is $10, third round is $20. And in here, the last round was $100, but that didn't take into account, that was just a bigger payout for the tournament winner. However, I like this one better because each person would get paid out more for head-to-head wins. The money's still the same. It still equals $320 per tournament of payouts. But yeah, so I'm leaning towards this one. So again, $25 paid out if you happen to have the race winner. That happens every week, regardless of whether you're still competing in the tournament or not. Every 4 weeks it starts over. I still keep track of everything in here. We can still do the random number assignments on video so that everybody knows it's all legit. And then just over here, just to show you, I have, so this would kind of show the payouts for this tournament. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Half of the people would make money in this scenario. I have gross and net. Green if you are above the $20 of the pay-in. Red if you didn't make any money. So that here's what a tournament winner would make: $85 just for winning the tournament. That's not to include any race winning. So potentially you could make, like I said, over $100 based on winning a tournament and having one or more race winners. So that's our format. We do need 16 people, so we just need to find a few more here in the next couple weeks. If we don't, we can just go back to the way we did it last year. I won't be upset. And if we do find 16 people, then we can try out this new format. I think it'll be more fun. So does everybody else that I've pitched it to so far. So, yep, there it is. Let me know if you have any questions.